Hello and welcome to Bedtime Story with Miss Anna. Are you ready to go to sleep? Kiss your mommy, kiss your daddy. It's time for story time. Tonight, we have a story time thing called Be Brave. And we are going to start our story time with this amazing book. It's called Lion Heart by Richard Colin Rich. There cannot be, there is no such a thing as monsters. But what was that sound? Richard hugged his lion heart tightly. Something was there, and Richard was scared, so he ran. He ran and he ran through the streets and over the hills, through the forests and into the fields, but he was being chased. All around him the grass grew thick and turned into sticks, and the sticks grew tall and turned into trees. But still he was being chased. So Richard kept running until he ran into a magical jungle where there were animals all around. Some big, some small, some thin, some tall, some mean, some hairy, some fat, some scary. But Richard couldn't stay to look. The monster was coming, so Richard kept running. He ran and he ran until he ran into something or someone. It was Lionheart, but he wasn't a toy anymore. Come with me, his Lionheart said, and Richard went, away from the monster, away from his fears. Together they jumped over the pointing rocks and went under the falling water. They traveled deep, deep, deep into the lost city where Richard played with the animals, and he was having so much fun that he forgot the monster. He forgot he was scared. But Lionheart hadn't forgotten. He could feel the monster. He could see the monster. It was coming. The animals saw it too, and they were scared. Then Richard saw it. But when Richard looked at Lionheart, he knew what to do. He knew how to be brave. His Lionheart had shown him. So together they took a deep breath and started to roar. Everyone was roaring. They roared so loudly that the monster and all of Richard's fears were blown away, once and for all. And Richard wasn't afraid of monsters anymore. The end. Such an amazing book called Lionheart. The storytime theme for today is called Be Brave. Are you brave? Yes? I have another book for you today. And this one is called Brave Irene by William Stay. I read this book before and it's a very, very nice book. Very interesting. Mrs. Bobbin, the dressmaker, was tired and had a bad headache, but she still managed to sew the last stitches in the gown she was making. It's the most beautiful dress in the whole world, said her daughter. Irene, the Duchess will love it. It is nice, her mother admitted. But dumping is for tonight's ball, and I don't have the strength to bring it. I feel sick. Poor mama, said Irene. I can't get in there. No cupcake. I cannot let you, said Mrs. Bobbin. Such as a huge package. It is such a long way to the palace. Besides, it's starting to snow. But I love snow, Irene insisted. She caused her mother into bed, covered her with two quilts, and added a blanket for her feet. Then she fixed her mother tea with lemon and honey and put more wood in the stove. With great care, Irene took the splendid gown down from the dummy and packed it in a box with plenty of tissue paper. Dress warmly, Pudding, but her mother called in a weak voice, and don't forget to button up. It's cold out there and windy. Irene put on her fleece lined boots, her red hat and muffles, and her heavy coat, and her mittens. She kissed her mother's forehead 6 times. Then once again made sure she was tucked in snugly and slipped out with the big box, shutting the door firmly behind her. It really was cold outside, very cold. The wind whirled the falling snow flakes about this way, that way, and into Irene's squinting face. She set out on the uphill path to Farmer Bennett's sheep pasture. By the time she got there, the snow was up to her ankles, and the wind was worse. It hurried her along and made her stumble. Irene resented this. The bus was problem enough. Easy does it. She cautioned the wind, leaning back hard against it. By the middle of the pasture, the flakes were falling thicker. Now the wind drove Irene along so rudely she had to hop, skip, and go, helter skelter. Her feet were chilling. She pushed out her lip and hurried on. This was an important errand. When she reached Apple Road, the wind decided to put on a show. It ripped branches from trees and flung them about, swept up and scattered the fallen snow, got in front of Irene to keep her from moving ahead. Irene turned around and pressed on backwards. She plowed on, dragging footrests with her sore foot. The short winter day was almost done. Am I still going the right way? She wondered. There was no one around to advise her. Whoever else there was in this snow-covered world was far, far away and safe indoors. Even the animals in their burrows, she went plodding on. Soon night took cover. She knew in the dark that the smallful snow was still falling. She could feel it. She was cold and alone in the middle of nowhere. Irene was lost. She had to keep moving. She was hoping she'll come to a house, any house at all, and be taken in. She badly needed to be in someone's arms. The snow was above her knees now, and she shoved her way through it, clutching the empty box. She was asking how long a small person could keep this struggle up. When she realized it was getting lighter, there was a soft glow coming from somewhere below her. She waded toward this glow and soon was gazing down a long slope at a brightly lit mansion. It had to be the palace. Irene pushed forward with all her strength and sloughed through. She plunged downward and was buried. She had fallen off a little cliff. Only her hat and the box in her hands stuck out above the snow. Even if she could call for help, no one would hear her. Her body shook, her teeth chattered. Why not freeze to death, she thought, and let all this trouble end? Why not? She was already buried. And never seeing her mother's face again? Her good mother who smelled like fresh baked bread? In an explosion of fury, she flung her body about to free herself and was finally able to climb up on her knees and look around. How to get down to that glittering palace? As soon as she raised the question, she had the answer. She laid the box down and climbed aboard, but it pressed into the snow and stuck. She tried again, and this time, instead of climbing on, she leaped the box, shot forward like a sled. The wind raced after Irene but couldn't keep up. In a moment, she would be with people again, inside where it was warm. The sled slowed and jerked to a stop on paving stones. The time had come to break the bad news to the Duchess. With the empty box clasped to her chest, Irene strode nervously toward the palace. But then her feet stopped moving and her mouth fell open. She stared. Maybe this was impossible. Yeah, it was. A little way off and over to the right, hugging the trunk of a tree, the beautiful ball gown. The wind was holding it there. Mama, Irene shouted. Mama, I found it. She managed somehow, despite the wind, meddling to get the gown off the tree and back in its box, and in another moment she was at the door of the palace. She knocked twice with the big brass knocker. The door opened and she burst in. She was welcomed by cheering servants and a delicious duchess. A delirious duchess. They couldn't believe she had come over the mountain in such a storm, all by herself. She had to tell the whole story, every detail, and she did. Then she asked to be taken right back to her sick mother, but it was out of the question, they say. The road that ran around the mountain wouldn't be clear till morning. Don't fret, child, said the Duchess. Your mother is surely sleeping now. We'll get you there first thing tomorrow. Irene was given a good dinner as she sat by the fire, the moisture streaming off her clothes. The Duchess, meanwhile, got into her freshly ironed gown before the guests began arriving in their sleigh. What a wonderful ball it was! The Duchess in her new gown was like a bright star in the sky. Irene in her ordinary dress was radiant, and she was swept up into dances by handsome aristocrats who kept her feet off the floor to spare her ankle. Her mother will enjoy hearing all about it. Early the next morning, when snow had long since ceased falling, Mrs. Bobbin woke from a good night's sleep, feeling much improved. She hurried about and got a fire going in the coal stove. Then she went to look in for Irene. But Irene's bed was empty. She ran to the window and gazed at the white landscape. No one out there. Snow powder fell from the branch of a tree. Where is my child? Mrs. Bobbin cried. She whipped on her coat to go out and find her. When she pulled the door open, a wall of trees faced her. But peering over, she could see a horse-drawn sleigh hastening up the path, and seated on the sleigh between two large footmen was Irene herself, asleep but smiling. Would you like to hear the rest? The end. I hope that you enjoyed the bedtime story for today. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Good night, good night, good night.